Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is May the 23rd, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Friday to ya. Hopefully this energy, this Friday goodness, it catches you well, fills you up. Even if you're not listening on a Friday, I know sometimes these episodes get out late or you just listen to it when you get to it. That's totally fine. It's the beauty of podcasting. Hopefully you still feel Friday when you hear this. So hell yeah, clap it up. You made it. Yay, we did it. Friday's been good. It's been a day off. I will say I'm rushing a little bit. I'm a bit busy, but of course I'm going to make time for my dear listeners to talk about some news. I have to. It's just how this works. But we did call off from work to kind of make sure everything kind of fit for my day. I knew it was going to be a busy day, but I will say the snag was I overslept. I woke up at 4 a.m, which love that for me. But I, was up for a few hours and then of course got tired and fell back asleep, I think around 7. So I took like an hour nap or so. Actually, no, about a little bit more than an hour because I woke up around 9. And I was like, okay, all right, we got to get up. We got to get through the day. So we started off with some laundry. Laundry went well, no problems there. Then after dropping off the laundry, we went to the gym. Gym was great. We had a good max out day, a good heavy lift day. I'm getting under. I've been pushing 225, 2 plates, baby. We've been moving that. We're still not there to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm getting one like good rep, great form. We're not there yet. But the fact that I'm moving it is so ahead of schedule for me on my bench. It feels very good. It feels so satisfying. The fact that I'm now like fantasizing about 315, pushing 3 plates, that's crazy. When I first started this was never in the plan. This is never in the realm of thought that I could get stronger like this. And I mean, I'm not saying, I'm doing it so fast, but like it feels faster than I was projecting for myself when I really started on this whole like second phase, I like to call it, of just saying, hey, we've been doing everything, workouts, whatever. I still want to keep that energy, but I want to focus it. I want to really get stronger progressively and get better form. And that's been going well. It's been feeling good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still a little bit sloppy, but it is what it is. We're knocking it out. We're feeling good. Another good thing that happened was I kind of had some stuff on my mind, y'all. Like doing this new stuff, it can get hard. You have to kind of make calls and make stances, and like I'll be real with y'all, sometimes I don't always like feel like, damn, am I doing this right, am I on it? And like I had a moment because my friend was actually there at the gym and I got to talk to him, and I really got to just kind of vent a little bit, and they got to hear me out. We kind of just got to just talk a little bit, and it made me feel a little bit better. It made me feel actually a lot better, dare I say. And I needed that. So really appreciate that. It's good to have people out there that you can just kind of lean on, be like, hey, I'm not the strong friend today. I need to talk to you. I need to vent a little bit. You know what I mean? I would definitely kind of harken back to my Christian upbringing. And I remember that was like a very key essential thing, is like the best thing about having the group of friends that I had in church was that I could like talk to them about damn near anything, and we really could get to the bottom of whatever was bothering me, whether it was in a spiritual sense or otherwise. You know what I mean? And I definitely missed that, post my religious arc, post being with that group of people. Like my best friend is someone who I came up through that shit with. So like, you know what I mean? Like at 34, it's really hard to like make friends, maintain friendships, things like that. So whenever I find someone I can sit down with and really talk to and I can get along with, and we're generally like on the same page and the same vibe, I'm like, you might not know it, but I would probably take a bullet for you. I would. I don't. There's no probably about it. I don't want to be morbid or nothing, but like, I'd hop in the gulag for you, homie. That's real shit. That's family shit to me. But anyway, the gym went well. Gym was good. Now, post the gym, we're here, we're yapping, we're about to get into some news. So there we are. We've completed the circuit. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. Ooh wee. Ooh yeah. Okay. Our first story comes from CBS News. Judge blocks Trump administration from stripping Harvard of ability to enroll international students. So the beat goes on at Harvard. Harvard versus the Trump administration. A federal judge on Friday temporarily blocked the Trump administration from revoking Harvard University's ability to enroll foreign students, hours after the Ivy League school challenged a decision by the administration that targeted its enrollment. U.S. District Judge Allison Burroughs agreed to grant Harvard's request for immediate relief and set a hearing for May 29th, during which she will consider whether to issue a preliminary injunction in the case. Her order blocks the Trump administration from revoking, Harvard's certification in Student and Exchange Visitor Program. Her brief order said the temporary order is justified to preserve the status quo pending a hearing. The judge's intervention came hours after Harvard filed a federal lawsuit over the Trump administration's decision to bar it from enrolling foreign students, calling it unconstitutional retaliation for defying the White House's political demands. It is the school's second suit against the Trump administration. In the lawsuit filed Friday in federal court in Boston, Harvard said the government's action violates the First Amendment and will have an immediate and devastating effect for Harvard and more than 7,000 visa holders. So when I initially heard this, I thought the block was just going to be like, you can't accept any new foreign exchange students. But it meant not only that, but also if you were a foreign exchange student, you were working on your degree. If this came into effect immediately, even though you're about to do graduation, you have to find another school to go to, if I'm not mistaken. So this is that would be devastating. This is devastating for a foreign exchange student. But not to mention, it's supposed to be another body blow to Harvard to get them to comply. So essentially, you're making a whole fucking game out of this if you're the Trump administration, just to send a warning. And effectively, in this article, it's quoted from Kristi Noem, who's saying, that's exactly what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make an example. You can't defy us. If you try, we're going to make this worse. We're going to bury you. And that's what is that? The head of the Department of Homeland Security? Fucking shooting dogs? Goddamn, fuck her. Boo, tomatoes. Anyway, let me get to my highlighted portion here. The school had said it planned to file for a temporary restraining order to block the Department of Homeland Security from carrying out the move, which the department announced on Thursday. It accused Harvard of creating an unsafe campus environment by allowing anti-American, pro-terrorist agitators to assault Jewish students on campus. It also accused Harvard of coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party, contending the school had hosted and trained members of a Chinese paramilitary group as recently as 2024. I would love to know more about that last part. If you have heard anything about this last part, please send me a link, because what the fuck? Really? We got the Chinese communist psyop going on at Harvard? Please tell me more, Kristi. Please. I would love to know. That sounds so interesting. But yeah, this is supposed to be a warning, a shot across the bow. If you pipe up, we're going to bury you. Also, this is a bit of an aside. I was listening to the BBC today, and I've noticed that, and I mean, I'm sure this has kind of been an ongoing thing. It's just ramping up more. That, as like at first there was a conversation saying, hey, you can't be anti-Zionist. Essentially, you have to be cool with Zionism, and I feel like the conversation has kind of gotten off the rails and into the weeds about it. So people are like, okay, you can say whatever the fuck you want, maybe about Zionism. No, you can't, but like whatever. We'll actually take the conversation. Fine, you can't be anti-Israel. Actually, it's the same thing as being anti-Semitic, and I'm like, what are we doing here, dude? Like, I find this shit to be so fucking aggravating, so fucking frustrating, because we're just doing obfuscation. We're just doing a smokescreen for Israel here. You know what I mean? When you're trying to say, hey, I'm not being an anti-Semite. I'm trying to talk about an issue at hand. A nation state is doing something very oppressive to another group of people, and we should be talking about it. We should be discussing it. And they're like, nah, man, that's so fucked up. Why are you being racist? It's like, I'm actually literally trying not to be racist. I'm trying to talk about the literal problem at hand, and we've got all these fucking gates in place to allow you to do this and support that. Like, are we kidding? And it's like, yeah, man, just don't be anti-Israeli. Don't just stop it, dude. Please. It's a crazy narrative. It's a crazy tactic. I know that wasn't the only thing in the milieu here. Like I said, hence why the Chinese Communist Party at Harvard. Please tell me more. I really want to know. How interesting. But let's see. I mean, there's going to be more here. There's more to talk about, I'm sure. But let's go ahead and move on to our next story. Obviously, there's details. But yes, from Al Jazeera, UnitedHealth paid nursing homes to reduce hospital transfers. The UnitedHealth has allegedly secretly paid nursing homes to reduce hospital transfers. The latest accusation in a series of woes facing the health insurance giant. The alleged action, first reported by The Guardian newspaper on Wednesday, was part of a series of cost-cutting tactics that have saved the company millions, but at times risk residents' health, the publication shows, citing an investigation. Now, right at the top, I really want to suggest people who are really interested in the UnitedHealth thing, let's say, I mean, probably for most of us, you got interested and heard about this after the Luigi Mangione shooting, after Brian Thompson died. Like, there's been probes, there's been investigations launched. So I would suggest if you're interested, please go to The Guardian and look this up. I got to read it before I got on, and I was going to run that story, but it's just so long, and sadly, I am on a time crunch, we just didn't have the time. So I ran with this story from Al Jazeera, but I would highly suggest that. Also, I would reference the Ben and Emil show, which I listened to. They go into more details about it, and also talking about like the Medicare, I believe it's a Medicare or Medicaid Advantage thing. There's this whole alleged grift involved here where, if I'm getting it correctly, that essentially we're trying to get people off of one insurance that is more helpful, that is like the default that you have, to this like Advantage plan that may sound good if someone kind of words it to you that way, but then inevitably it isn't as good and you're stuck on it. And essentially, if you're an older, elderly person who this is for, the Medicaid, like that's something that's jamming you up. But this is something that is making money for the government, and I'm not exactly sure where UnitedHealth falls involved in that. But not to mention, we're just talking insurance in general at this point, and how just fucking gross and corrupt and fucked up it can be. But definitely relevant sources to just mention if you're really trying to dive in here and get more heads and tails about what's going on. But let me read more from Al Jazeera. The story, which cites thousands of documents and firsthand accounts of more than 20 former employees of the healthcare company and nursing homes, says that the insurance giant sent its own medical teams to nursing homes to push the cost-cutting measures. As a result, patients who urgently needed medical care did not receive it, including one person who now lives with permanent brain damage after a delayed transfer. The allegations add to a litany of negatives that have hurt UnitedHealth in the last several months, following a massive cyber attack at its Change Healthcare unit. Reports of criminal and civil investigations into the company's practices, including one for Medicare fraud, and the abrupt departure of CEO Andrew Whitty last week, which is another thing we didn't cover. I believe he was the replacement, and I think he was like from the UK, jolly old Britain or whatever. UnitedHealth said in response to the story The U.S. Department of Justice investigated these allegations, interviewed witnesses, and obtained thousands of documents that demonstrated the significant factual inaccuracies in the allegations. I guess that's the statement you can lean on. The company also said that the DOJ declined to pursue the matter. Once again, that especially in this administration, what weight does that have to me? What does that mean to me? Even if it's the Biden administration, do you think I give that much of a shit? It's worth noting that with this news, they took a hit on Wall Street in terms of like shares for UnitedHealth. I guess that's the only vindication we kind of get here. Once again, this is just a taste of it. I would really recommend going to The Guardian to get more information or watching that episode of Ben and Emil. And I mean, hey, maybe you'll fucking like that shit. You know, a little bit of podcast corner. I do fuck with them boys. You know, they good. I fuck with them. Anyway, let me go ahead and move on to the next story from CBS News. Woman shot after failing to stop at CIA headquarters gate, sources say. A woman was shot by CIA security Thursday morning after she drove up to a gate at the agency's headquarters and failed to stop, sources said. The woman was taken to a medical facility with what law enforcement officials believe was a non-fatal gunshot wound to the upper body. There was a security incident that law enforcement responded to outside CIA headquarters, a CIA spokesperson said. The main gate is currently closed until further notice. Additional details will be made available as appropriate. The CIA and FBI were looking into the incident. Now, I think this story just kind of got swept under the weeds because it's been a really busy news cycle. I don't think there's anything crazy there. But that being said, I mean, what was this lady doing? Did she just like not heed the warning? Was she trying to do something spicy? Like, you know, inquiring minds like myself would love to know. But I will definitely keep you posted if I hear any more out of that. But until then, I guess it's kind of a bit of a, I don't want to say nothing burger. You know, CIA shoots someone. That's usually not a nothing. But yeah, let's go ahead and close out. It's kind of a coincidence that on the 23rd, I'm talking about 23andMe. But we'll get into some details on that in a second. Let's go ahead and close it out with our last break. Mm. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Oh boy. Oh boy. From The Verge. The Verge. 23andMe and its user data will soon belong to a pharmaceutical giant. Oof. Oh boy. 23andMe will keep offering customers its DNA testing services after being bought out of bankruptcy. New York-based biotech company Regeneron Pharmaceuticals announced an agreement on Monday to purchase the 23andMe startup for $256 million, alongside its Total Health and Research Services business and biobank of customer data and genetic samples. Regeneron is the winner of 23andMe's bankruptcy auction, which required all bidders to comply with the applicable laws and the firm's privacy policies around customer data, which is an important statement now that I'm kind of reading it out loud and digesting it. 23andMe says the customer data is anonymized and that stored genetic samples are destroyed when users delete their 23andMe accounts. But it's unclear how much information is retained and may therefore soon be in Regeneron's hands. The acquisition is expected to close later this year, subject to U.S. bankruptcy court approval. If all goes ahead, Regeneron co-founder George D. Yancopoulos says the purchase will further the company's large-scale genetics research into future drugs and treatments. There's a little bit more blah, blah, blah here. But I mean, hey, it looks like it's been a bit settled now with 23andMe and its fate. if you had heeded the warning and you were involved, you did your little spit in the cup to figure out your little genetic makeup. You didn't know, what the future of that was going to be. Like, who was that data going to go to? Hopefully you got the thing deleted or whatever. And I'm sure there's still time if you wanted to, right? But I don't know. I'm sure most people who participated in the whole 23andMe process, like, they got what they got out of it. They were done with it and they moved on. Like, I mean, there's so many times where your data is out there and, you know, a company can go belly up and they have your data and they just give it away. That does happen. That's not me vying for the company or whatever. It's just, I know how lazy I can be. I know how lazy my fellow man can be. A lot of people talk a big game about privacy, and I completely fucking get it. But, like, push come to shove, you really don't give a shit. And even if you do, it is inevitable. Your information will be extracted one way or another. Whether it's by the government or some fucking hacker or whoever, like, if you want to play the game, you kind of have to give them a little bit. But that being said, I am glad that at least, I guess, for people who want to keep up with this whole thing and really spit and cup and find out what they're made of, then by all means, hopefully you're still going to be able to do that now with this with this deal. So that's cool, I guess. And, I mean, I don't know. I don't know shit about Regeneron. That could be a fucking Resident Evil ass umbrella corporation. I don't fucking know. But hopefully they'll do right by you and your data. And hopefully, I guess it really doesn't matter because it's all done on the level, so they say. So there we go. Yeah, 23andMe resolved. Chapter done. Arc done. Check. Maybe. Question mark? Anyway, that's it. That's all I really have for today. Let's see. If you'd like to help out support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any other socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's a free action. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. All are free ways to keep up with the Joneses. Helps out my algorithm. And especially with YouTube, if I get enough subscribers one day, they might start paying me. So they say. That's what the legends say. But who knows? Who knows? Anyway, I really just appreciate you listening. I can never stress that enough. It's super cool that you participate in this project with me. It really does put a smile on my face. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.